What's going on, everybody? Average Arcader here, and to continue our coverage of the awesome studio at Gamemode One in our Spotlight segment, we have another team member joining us for another interview. Say hello to everybody. Say hello to Cade. Cade, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Cade. I'm the lead gameplay programmer over at Gamemode One. Thanks for having me, Arcade.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Gamemode One is one of my favorite studios. I've loved your guys' work. I think I told Scott last week that, you guys, when it comes to gameplay, I don't think anybody can touch what you guys do on the marketplace. So I'm very thankful for you guys to take part in this Spotlight segment.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to hear that from people.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I started this segment, because I felt like people should get to know these teams a little bit more, see the people behind some of these awesome games.
Yeah, I think that's a great initiative. So that's really awesome, because I think it's really cool to sort of humanize game studios more than they're just these faceless blobs that pump out games.
Exactly.
I think yeah.
So you kind of already answered our first question, who you are. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your day-to-day when you're working on a game? What section, your section of the team, what do you do, your primary responsibilities?
All right. So as sort of the lead developer, I do get dirty down in the trenches and write code, create features and stuff. But I also sort of coordinate between all of our other developers, make sure sort of everyone knows, at least all of our developers know what they're doing, and they're not stepping on each other's toes and stuff like that. So I sort of delegate tasks to my fellow developers and stuff like that too.
That's awesome. So how big is your team? Do you have a team in your department, or is it just you?
Yeah, we do have a development team. Let's see, that team is about, I'd say five and a half. We sort of have some people who are half developer, half something else. So about 5.5, I'd say.
Okay, that's cool. That's a nice size team for a Minecraft team. Well, for for the developer team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're all super talented, and that's why we're able to get such intricate mechanics done with a relatively small number of people.
Awesome. So how long have you been at Gamemode One?
So I've been with Gamemode One since it was founded. So I was looking at that earlier, and I think it was around early 2018. So it's been a couple of years.
Wow. So you're a founder. Awesome.
Yeah, I was among the first roster of when the team formed.
And now, was that your first entry into game design like this, or were you doing other things before?
I'd been in the so I'd done Minecraft development in various forms for several years before that. So it wasn't my first foray, but it was sort of the first, I don't know, the first team of that I really got into in professional capacity. I'd done a little bit before, but this is one where I was okay, I like it here. This is really good.
Yeah, I get you. This is your first official full-on team join, basically.
Kinda, yeah.
All right, that's cool. So what was some of the first things you worked on before you came to Gamemode One?
So I was actually a part of, when I've worked on some marketplace maps before Gamemode One. I used to be a member of Blockworks. I was a part of them when the marketplace started, and they were one of the first, 4 or 5 teams that were introduced to the marketplace. So I had some marketplace experience before joining Gamemode One.
Okay. What was the first map you worked on, if you can remember?
The first map that I worked on, it might have been something like the Pumpkin King. I think it was a Halloween map. You had, or maybe it was a Christmas map. Okay, yeah, I think it was like a Halloween Christmas mashup of some sort. There were presents, there were Pumpkin Kings, that sort of thing.
Okay, that sounds good. I remember back in the day when Marketplace first popped up, and you had those small little maps, and looking at how far it's come from back then, just blows my mind.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. It's really awesome to see just like sort of how much further the Minecraft devs have they've given us better tools to make content with. I remember a story from around the era of that Pumpkin King map, where like a dialogue system had to be like named wolves pushed around on like a piston system to like make text appear and disappear. It was crazy.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I was trying to explain to a friend of mine at one time, because he's like, well, why don't they just do this? And like, well, you gotta understand that the progression has come a very long way. It's not as easy as because they're used to doing making games with engines like Unreal and Trinity. I'm like, it's a little bit different because you have to use other systems to do this, that, and the other. So it's not as straightforward as people think.
Yeah.
And so that's why when you do get something kind of like the map that we're in now from you guys, and I think the very first one of yours that got my attention was Bloom. When I played Bloom for the first time, I'm like, okay, how in God's name did they program all this in the Minecraft engine to be able to do this that certain way? I'm like, that's crazy. I could recognize the work, because I knew as soon as I saw it, I'm like, this probably took a lot of work.
Yeah, Bloom was a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. It's one of my favorites, definitely.
Okay. So, what would you say is the hardest part of your job?
So I'd say the hardest part is sort of like when we're like doing our planning and like sort of concepting things for a game idea or something. I'm trying to like sort of find the balance of, okay, do I think we can reasonably accomplish this in Minecraft is like probably the biggest challenge, I think. Because it's really hard to sort of, when you're sitting there in like a meeting and you're like, someone asks like, hey Cade, do you think that we could do X if the player does Y? And you sort of have to like enter your mind palace and race through all different Minecraft mechanics and trying to think, okay, do I know of anything that would make this first, I guess, do I know anything that would make this work? And then you like run through the list of bugs in your head, like, okay, are there any bugs that would make this like not feasible? And that's sort of like trying to maintain that balance of knowing whether something can be done without actually going in the game and doing it. That's a pretty big challenge.
Yeah, I can understand that, because you could be thinking, okay, I want to create this slide. So then you're going back through your head, like, is there a mechanic in the game that exists that I could use to make this slide? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I get you, because then if you happen not to be able to do it and you've planned around it, now you've got to completely redo everything.
Yeah, exactly. It can be really disruptive if like you think you could do something, but it turns out to not work very well.
Yeah, I can understand. That would probably cause some setbacks. So if somebody were to ask you what the greatest strength of Gamemode One is, what would you say it was?
Okay, so I think so. I think we have the patience required to sort of take our time and really get our game design right. When you're doing things in Minecraft, there's a lot of, inbuilt mechanics and stuff that you could just sort of take and run with. But we always make the conscious effort to take a step back and think about whether a certain mechanic that's inherent to Minecraft is necessary to is necessary or good to the sort of experience we're making. It's like, do we really want to have hunger in our map? Do we want to have vanilla combat, those sort of things where, in certain scenarios you may be like, oh, it's Minecraft, do it, throw it in, leave it in. And we really try and think about whether we should keep mechanics like that or slightly tweak them to sort of better suit our vision.
I get you, and having the patience to actually sit back and work those out is what you feel is your key strength. Because I can understand the pressure getting tight. I mean, any type of content creation, the pressure can get tight, and you're just so anxious to get the project done and going. You're cutting corners, or not so much that you're cutting corners. It's just you're maybe doing things a little quicker than you should, and not thinking about things. So I can understand having the patience to say, hey, you know what? Take a breath. Let's make sure this is gonna work.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I can definitely see that in what you guys do. I mean, there are many studios out there, even good ones, that sometimes they're pumping out games almost every week. And sometimes that's good, but sometimes you can see that they're rushing. And not the fact that the maps are bad, but you can see a little bit of the edges there. You can see it. It's not as polished as it could be. There might be a glitch or two that could have been removed that wasn't, because they're just so focused on getting that project pumped out.
Yeah. I think a decent example is with the map we're on now, Seaside Story. We could have, kind of maybe used a more vanilla fishing system, but we really didn't feel like it was conducive to the sort of relaxing yet sort of engaging gameplay we wanted to go for.
And I'm glad you guys did that, because the fishing on this map is amazing. I was telling Scott all about it when I interviewed him last week, how much I loved this map and how much I spent so much time on it. My Let's Play series on it, I had so much fun going through it. It's a long Let's Play series because I just kept on playing. The fishing is out of this world in this. I think it's the best fishing add-on I've played yet on the marketplace.
Thank you. I'll pass on the praise to Ebe, who was the primary dev on it, on the fishing.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. Tell him that it took me back to fishing with my dad. People couldn't tell because I don't have a face cam, but I was in tears at moments when playing it because I recently lost my dad, and that was one of our favorite things to do together, and it was just so close to the real thing.
Oh, wow.
So now here comes a hard one, and I know this is hard because everyone said it was going to be hard. What is your favorite add-on that you guys have made that you've released?
Okay, let's see, what have we got? I think I'm gonna go with Ultimate Dragons. I just really like the dragon designs that we came up with, and I think our world team did a really great job with the environment, because it's just so much fun to explore on Dragonback, and I like the setting and the sort of world we've built there.
Oh yes, I 100% agree with you. In fact, I'm glad you said that, because that's actually the game that one of the games I'm showcasing for you guys this week. I kind of mixed you guys when I asked you guys what games you wanted me to cover for each week. You guys kind of wanted to do a two-parter with Ultimate Dragons and How to Train Your Dragons. But I knew right off the bat I was gonna be focusing most of it on Ultimate Dragons. I like it better than How to Train the Dragon because I like the way you guys did the Dragon Flight. The flight system and the combat in that is amazing because it kind of flows together with how you have to push the jump button to flap, and then you can fire at the same time while doing that. It just really made it a lot more manageable because it felt like I had more control over my flying dragon than I did in How to Train a Dragon, where it uses the normal look up, look down system.
Right. I totally see that. I think we had some decisions to make about our flight systems, and I think for PC at least, and maybe some other devices, the Ultimate One can give a bit more fine control over flight.
Definitely. And more control over the firing too, I feel like, because giving you that ability to control your hover is just awesome, because when you're flying around by look and you're trying to fight while you're flying, it kind of screws you up, because you're trying to shoot a fireball, but then you're looking down to shoot it, and then your dragon thinks, oh, well, he's looking down. That means we got to go down. And the advantage of being able to shoot while flying is it's still there, but you've got to maneuver a lot more. Whereas in Ultimate Dragons, all I have to do is, when I'm ready to go up, just flap some more. I can kind of hold my position and fire at the different things underneath me without having to land.
Yeah, it definitely does take some more maneuvering on How to Train Your Dragon.
Now, both of them were awesome. Now, how did you guys do the different combat abilities? Because each dragon is different, even in How to Train Your Dragons, when it comes to their actual, attack.
Right. So, you're asking about like their attacks?
Yes. Like, how did you do each different one?
Okay. So, it's kind of a wild system for both of them. They're kind of both based on the same concept. What the basic summary is that there's, when the player is riding the dragon and they do whatever action it is to start attacking, we add a invisible mob that is riding the player. And because it's positioned in a certain way, it sort of is in front of the player. And so it's like, imagine like there's like an invisible entity riding the player, like, I don't know, 8 blocks in front of their head or something. And then we tell the dragon to try and attack that invisible entity. And so the dragon will shoot at it and miss because it's so small. And then but the projectile will still continue to where the player was looking. It's that kind of crazy Rube Goldberg system is how those generally work. Yeah, it was a challenge to make, but it was definitely worth it. It feels great.
Yes, it does. It's extremely effective. But that's amazing to do all of that for each dragon too, right?
Yeah, each dragon does that. It works a little bit different for the dragons that have a sustained fire versus like a burst, but it's the same principle.
Oh wow, man, that's gotta be tedious.
Kind of, but we luckily have some internal tools that sort of allow us, if we can do it for one dragon, we can sort of change some numbers for other dragons without having to retype it all. So that kind of thing makes it a lot more manageable to quickly iterate on the design and the bug fixing stuff.
Okie dokie. So how did you guys come up with the idea for each type of because each one had different damage, because I believe one kind of shot like a bomb like burst, and then you had others that were like you said, the sustained fire. Like, how did you guys come up with all those different ideas?
So I guess for the concept of the dragons themselves, we had our art director Wilson sort of he iterated upon he concept arted some dragons, and he iterated on those for like 2 or 3 times each of them until they kind of became the form they are. And we just kind of thought about, okay, what kind of things makes sense for this design and would add variety to sort of the roster we already have. Because I guess generally you've got sort of the shell spin attack on the tor snapper, and you've got like the lobs like on the frog one whose name slips my mind, and so it shoots the toxic bomb. I think the Thornjaw has like the sustained fire breath. So we just kind of thought, okay, and we tried to balance the damage and like frequency things to sort of give a different playstyle to each, or sort of something that would sort of somebody would find a thing that really felt good no matter their tastes. I think the steam worm, which is like the red one with the shell, or at least one of the genders have a shell. They're like sort of a sniper. They do a lot of damage from a long ways away, but they don't shoot very often.
Yeah, I remember those were one of the ones I actually flew around the most. When I finally got one, I love that kind of sniper attack, because some of those guys hit hard. So being able to kind of sit back and let the other dragons kind of take the aggro and you kind of just snipe was one of my favorite ways to play.
Yeah, I think that one was probably the favorite of Sean, who was sort of leading the balance on like the different dragon attacks at the time too.
Because that is a pretty strong attack. It does have a good advantage because it's just how far away it can damage you. I remember when I first fought one, it did a number on me, and I'm like, wow, I gotta.
yeah. You really got to be careful around the wild ones.
Yeah, like, I was not seeing that. I was expecting like some type of fire burst. Next thing you know, like half the dragons I had with me just go down in one hit, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? So yeah, I had a blast with that map. That was another one of your guys' good ones that I really, really fell in love with. And then How to Train Your Dragons did a really good job. I think I did that one. I didn't do that one by myself. I think my friend the Magical Berry came and we hung out and played that one together, which was really, really fun. That one, the quests were a little bit more detailed because it had you going out, and the combat was also more detailed because you had actual, like, what was it? Pirates you were fighting? Mm-hmm. Pirates and trappers.
Yeah, you had the trapper ships.
There you go. Yeah, the trapper
and the forts.
Ships. And the forts, and you had to find all the different secrets and bring them back. Definitely very well done. Very well done with that one. So why did you guys decide to change up the flight patterns for each individual one? Why not use the same one for both?
So I think the primary reason was just we wanted to make it more approachable for mobile and I think consoles as well. Some of the button layouts I think may have been a little awkward to like sort of frequently press and stuff on those. I think that's probably why. But yeah, it was a kind of a decision we kind of had to make, we felt, to sort of maintain a good quality among all the platforms we support.
Okay, I get you now. That makes sense that you want at least one game that's going to play strong on one of the consoles. Because I could see, now that you said that, I could see how that could really not so much screw someone over, but I could see why someone could have a difficult time with the constant tapping if they're playing on mobile. Because you do have to do a lot of that in Ultimate Dragon to keep when you're flying.
Yeah.
And since I use a controller or a keyboard, it's easy for me, but for somebody that doesn't have those type of buttons, I can see how that could, definitely be a little tricky.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so do you prefer working on maps like Ultimate Dragons, or would you prefer working on something a little bit more tame, like, Everbloom? No, Bloom.
So I would say I prefer the sort of the theming of maps like Ultimate Dragons. I love action, I love adventure, those sort of things. However, Bloom was far from like, less exciting or anything. It had some really intricate mechanics that I had a lot of fun developing. So it's just kind of like, there were aspects of both of them that I really, really enjoyed.
Okay, well, that would make sense. You are a programmer, so no matter what type of game you make, you've got a lot of work to do either which way.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, I just get a lot of enjoyment from like most types of game programming. I think no matter kind of how it ends up, I'll end up having a pretty good time.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so I like to ask everybody that's on the show. Apart from Gamemode One, who is your favorite studio on the marketplace?
Okay. So I'd say for me, it's a little bit of a toss-up between Everbloom and Jiggerbob. Everbloom makes some really impressive maps, and they clearly care deeply for the quality of their products. They've made some really fun stuff, and Jiggerbob, his maps have a certain jovial feel to me that I really adore. Jig also, he gets some sentimentality points from me. When I was first starting to make Minecraft maps, I saw his early maps like the Flood and like the Juggler's Balls, which were Java maps, which is where I started on YouTube, and he sort of served as an inspiration for me when I was just getting into it, and because he was doing cool stuff that I didn't see anybody else doing.
Oh yeah, Jig, he's awesome. He's definitely awesome. He's a little bit of a trickster.
Yeah.
But he's definitely awesome. I didn't have him on this segment yet, but back when I first got started, when I would do live streams interviewing creators after I had fun on one of their maps, and I think I contacted him after I played Suburbia,
right?
Which was a phenomenal map.
Oh yeah, Suburbia is great.
And I can't. Again, just like with this one, I cannot believe that's a free map. I just can't believe it's a free map. Like, the amount of work and how big that game is. That is literally, like I told him, I said, this is literally The Sims in Minecraft. Like this, it's literally like the original Nintendo version of Sims in Minecraft. And that's literally what he said. Yeah, that's what he was going for. So I definitely agree with you with Jig, and I really agree with you with Everbloom. They were actually the first studio I had on the Spotlight segment, and they're a huge fan of you guys as well.
Well, I guess the feeling's mutual.
Definitely. You guys got a couple different fans over there, because I think 3 out of the 4 of them that I interviewed said that their favorite studio was Gamemode One.
I think I'll have to check that episode out.
In fact, I've been saying this to my friends. I'm like, if Gamemode One and Everbloom could work together on a add-on, that would probably be the best add-on ever. So little tip from me.
Yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's your favorite studio. What about your favorite add-on that's not from you guys?
I think I'll go with a recent one. Everbloom just put out Fashion Legends, and I was just I'm super impressed by the just the detail of the programming and the mechanics that went into that map. It's a phenomenal demonstration of Minecraft development.
Yes, I did a Let's Play of it because I was covering them. I mean, I pretty much always, there's a couple of studios that no matter what they come out with, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to cover it. It's normally you guys, Everbloom, Jig, I think Cyclone, both Cyclones with an S and Cyclone with a C. But I did cover that one, and although I'm not really into the fashion, same thing with you. The whole mechanics of that one got my attention. Going out and having to select them, setting it up so that, you know, there's certain things you have to meet, criteria you can meet, but at the same time you still kind of had your freedom to come up with designs yourself. You just had to kind of fit in the style, and then being able to program it to recognize that was actually pretty well done.
I fully agree.
So yeah, I agree with you that one. That was definitely a good one. Definitely from them, for sure. All right then. Well, we are just about out of time. Like I said, I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I know you guys are constantly working. So as we end this, is there, like, do you have any social media that you would like to share besides the Gamemode One ones?
No, I'm not too active on social media, so I'll just plug the Gamemode One Twitter and the Discord. I sometimes hang around there, so it acts as my surrogate.
No problem. Not everybody's onto the social media stuff, and that's understandable. But I will be leaving a link anyway to all of Gamemode One's games. I'm going to be linking your list, and if you guys would like to contact them for any reason, we are currently behind us. We have all their different contact informations, their Discord, their Twitter, their tech support line. So if you guys need anything, it's all behind us, and I'll be linking their game thing. But again, Cade, thank you very much for coming on the show. I had a good time.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for sort of doing these things. They're a lot of fun.
I know they are. I can't wait to have you guys back on the show too. But we are not done, guys. We have a lot more still coming up. We have more games to showcase from Gamemode One, as well as at least 2 more team members. So definitely make sure to stay tuned by hitting that like, share, subscribe, and notification button. That way you guys won't miss a thing. But until again, next time, thank again, Kay, for being on the show, and I will see you guys next time.